Hi everyone! Today we are bringing another episode of language variations, and this time we're looking at family members.
Let's see.
Okay, so let's start with parents. Mother, father. And of course this is the formal term, but then you also have mum, dad, and for young children, mummy and daddy, and not the Egyptian
Corpse.
And in French, we would call the parents les parents, and the formal way would be père, mère, but the way that children would call, or even the non-formal way is papa, maman.
Maman. I love that. So cute. Yeah, in Hungarian, parents are szülők, so that's like the plural. You can have szülő, which is just a parent.
Okay.
And then you have mother is anya or édesanya. That's like a sort of old-timesy or more poetic phrase that I really love because it sounds so sweet. And we have the same for father, apa, édesapa.
Oh. Alright, Malay, it is father, ayah, or bapa. One is a formal way, one is a more informal way. But of course you can call in many ways that are like pa or something like that. And for mother, it's amak or ibu. Once again, one's formal, one's informal. Ibu, ibuprofen.
I did not think of that, but yes.
Or of course you can also say mak for mother and stuff like that. And parents would be ibu bapa, which is basically just a combination of the words, yes.
Okay, next level now, we have the grandparents. So we have grandmother, it's the very formal, grandfather, but then you also have grandma, granddad, grandpa, and lots of different ones. Like my grandparents were Nana and Papa, but then my granddad was like, no, I don't want to be called Papa, I never want to be called Papa, I want to be Granddad, so we changed it to Granddad. And my aunt chose Grandma because they have the best cards.
I love that reason.
But yeah, we have lots of variations, Nan, Nanny, Granny.
So in French we also have the formal grand-mère, grand-père, and they're both called grands-parents. And the less formal for grand-mère, grand-père would be most commonly mamie, or you can say grand-maman as well. I think most children would say mamie. And then for grand-père, it's papy. Or grand-papa, you can also
Grand-papa.
say, but mostly papy.
That sounds nice.
In Hungarian, the grandparents are nagyszülők, and so the formal word is nagymama for the grandmother and nagypapa for the grandfather, and it's literally just translated grandfather and grandmother. But I call my grandparents mama, papa with their first names, and that's how I differentiate the maternal and the paternal ones. But you can also take the first part of the word and call it nagyi, that's for a grandmother, so you take the grand part. But for a grandparent, I don't think there's like papa. You don't have like
That much variation.
the same kind of taking the first part of the formal word. I don't think that exists.
Yeah, I think we have a lot more variation in the grandma than the
Yeah.
granddad.
Yeah.
Okay, so for Malay it is much simpler. Of course, once again there's a lot of variations. The actual word for a grandfather is dato. It can be ato, it can be to, for example. And then for grandmother it's nenek.
Nenek.
Nenek. And when you're saying grandparents, you just put the words together, so it's dato nenek. Yeah, like I really don't think there's a time where we will use it that often. We will just say that is my grandparents, so we just say dato nenek.
So moving on to siblings, we have brothers and sisters. Yeah, and obviously because when you talk to them, or talk about them, you call them by their names, so we don't really have variations for sisters and brothers.
Oh.
So it's, I would say, quite the same in French. You have, well, frère ou sœur, but you don't actually have a word for sibling. So you just say, if you ask someone, do you have any siblings? You say, est-ce que tu as des frères, un frère ou une sœur, ou des frères ou des sœurs?
So you have any brothers and
Do you have
sisters?
any brothers
Ah.
and
So you don't
sisters?
have
So you
the
don't have
word.
the word sibling.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. So
And the same, you would just address them.
Yeah.
by their
So there's no variations like there are with the others.
well, here come the
There
variations.
Yeah.
So the Hungarian word for sibling is a compound word I really love. It's called testvér. Test means body and vér means blood.
Oh.
Love
So
that.
your blood and
Like a blood brother.
yeah,
Yes.
blood brother kind of, yeah. So you share blood.
That's cool.
Um, That's for sibling. And we don't have a word for brother and sister. We have 4 words for younger, older brother, sister.
Wow.
So start with sisters. So an older sister is nővér. A younger sister is húg or
Oh,
húgi.
wow, sounds quite
Húgi.
different.
It's like a playful word. Then for brothers, an older brother is báty, bátyó.
Sure.
And the younger brother is öcs or öcsi. That's how I call my brother. So öcsi is quite a common name because it's given to like a younger sibling that you end up calling them öcsi for the rest of their lives. I know at least 6 people we call by this name. So yeah, that's something that sticks.
And do you call them by their names or do you call them by the...
Well, I call my brother little brothers.
Ah, okay, okay.
And the rest of the family and everyone we know call it that.
Oh, really?
Wow.
As opposed
We
to
also
using the
had,
first name or
like,
in combination?
You know the famous football player Puskás?
Yeah.
He was Puskás Öcsi.
Oh.
So he's a famous Hungarian football player from like the 60s. And he was called Puskás Öcsi.
Interesting.
Because like that was his nickname, Öcsi. That wasn't his like name on his birth certificate. It was just a nickname.
That was his nickname.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Me and my sister had like big sis, little sis t-shirts. Like,
Oh, cute. Okay, so in Malay, elder brother, we say abang or bang. And if you have many elder brothers, they, depending on the order, like if you're the oldest, you will say abang something like abang sulung. If it's an older brother, but it's the youngest older brother, it's abang bongsu, for example. So there are many ways to differentiate that. Same for elder sister, kakak.
Kaka?
Kakak.
That's not
K-A-K-A-K, yes. And however, for younger siblings, we only have one word, that is adik. And if it's a younger brother, you add the word boy behind it, adik lelaki, which is man or boy. And if it's a younger sister, it's adik perempuan, which is female or woman younger sibling. And the word for sibling is adik beradik.
Adik beradik.
Adik
I like
beradik,
it.
yes.
Like distinguishing between the
Older
like
and
big
younger.
brother and young. So you wouldn't address the person necessarily like that, although it can happen. But in French, you do have the bigger sister or brother is called l'aîné, and it's either l'aîné et or l'aîné et eux, like with
Okay. The different
Okay.
spelling.
like with an e at the end if it's feminine. But then you have the youngest one sibling is le cadet ou la cadette.
Cadet.
Cadet.
So the cadette is like the female, like youngest of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you will get them. You would, if you're talking about the person, you'd say, "Oh, so where's the cadet? Where is he?" Or you say I mean, it does happen in some families that you end up calling them like that, but it's not the most commonly. You would just use
Oh
the
my
name.
God.
But it does actually
You
happen.
do that too? with kichi, which means like little, like kichi, pizzi. Like that's my aunt's name, Pizzi, because she was the youngest cousin for a very long time, and
Very good.
I call her dad.
Oh.
And like, oh my god, yeah, you're right. That's the kind of thing.
But of course,
Yes.
there is a difference in Asian countries is that we do not call our siblings by name.
Yeah.
If they're older than us, we have to call them by,
By
the,
status.
by the title.
Okay, so now we have aunts and uncles. So we don't have a term for this, like a gender neutral altogether term. So we just have aunts and uncles. But I wouldn't call my aunt, I'd call her auntie and then the name.
Okay.
And uncle and then the name.
Yes. So
I'm Auntie Ashley.
so it works the same in French. It's you say oncle et tante, so uncle and aunt. But then if you say you know, I don't know, like the word auntie would be, for example, tante or tata or tati, and then you say the name. And then if it's and then for uncle you'd say tonton,
Tonton.
and then the name.
Yeah, in Hungarian I don't think we have a sort of gender neutral term either. So an aunt would be like néni, which is like grand lady. Because néni is like an older woman or a lady. But not really like, not posh lady, it's like an older woman. And then an uncle would be nagybácsi, which is like a grand older man. But we don't really use the words of like woman or man or like néni, nagybácsi when we talk about aunts and uncles. Like I would just call them by their first name or refer to them by their first name. Or I would say it's my dad's sister, for example, or my mom's sister.
So when you refer to them, you don't use the term refer, you just use the first
I
name?
just use their first names. Yeah.
So in Malay, a very formal term that I know for uncle is bapa saudara, which translates to father relative. So it's like a father level male relative. And then for aunt, it would be ibu saudara, which is mother relative. But then the ones that I would use, I mean I don't use it in my family because we speak Mandarin, but the one that I would use more commonly would be pakcik. Pakcik is for uncle and makcik is for auntie.
That sounds
That
nice.
makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you will say pakcik name or makcik name, or if there is an order again, you can just use the order word as well. Yeah.
So I don't use the word auntie or uncle when I address my aunt and uncle. I talk about them to someone else. But like my grandma did and my mum did with like my grandma's siblings, and you could say like batya nene, which is like the uncle or the aunt, but that's sort of a very, I think it's sort of dying out from the language. Like it's not something that like my generation uses, or maybe just not where I grew up, because my grandma grew up on the countryside and she uses these terms when she talks about people. But like my mom less and less, and my brother and I don't use these.
For like parents of friends, because we don't call them by names either. So when we go there, we will use auntie and uncle if we're speaking in English.
I think that's like, that was a kind of like respectful thing that we also used to do. I mean, it's not very common now, but like the friends of parents are also like auntie and
Aunt and uncle.
Yes. Why don't you leave what you call these family members in your languages in the comments below.
Merci d'avoir regardé notre vidéo. Nous espérons que cela vous ait plu.
Si c'est le cas, pensez à liker, commenter et à partager la vidéo avec votre famille et vos amis.
Vous souhaitez en voir davantage? Allez jeter un coup d'œil à notre playlist.
N'oubliez pas de vous abonner à notre chaîne et à cliquer sur la petite cloche pour recevoir des notifications de nos vidéos à venir.